My mother's hand trembled when she put the flowers in the tomb. It was the first birthday. A whole year since we buried Gabriel. We stayed there, silently, in front of that little too small, with his name recorded in letters that still looked too recent, too painful. I was 13 years old. He held her hand hard. I felt the cold in the morning entering my bones. But it wasn't just the cold. It was that emptiness I had never gone away. And then, they appeared. A couple. Older. He in a dark suit. She with gray dress. Serious faces. Stopped a few steps from us. The woman looked at my mother. Hesitated. Took a step ahead. "Sorry," she said, her voice low but firm. "Are you Gabriel's mother?" My mother raised her face. Her eyes, already red, filled with fear. "I am," she replied, her voice breaking. The man exchanged a look with his wife. Then he looked at my mother and said, "We were there, on the day of the accident. We saw what happened." My mother's heart stopped. I felt. And then the woman added, with a voice that seemed to carry the weight of the world, "And it was not your fault." My mother collapsed. Her legs gave way right there, in front of my brother's tomb, and I held her as I could, while she cried in a way I had never seen before, not in sadness, but something bigger, older, more painful, because for a whole year everyone had said the opposite. I'll tell you how we got to that cemetery. As my mother became the guilty of a death she did not cause, and as, that day, the truth finally came to light, too late to save my brother, but in time to save what was left of it. My brother Gabriel was 5 when he died. I had 12. He was small, clever, full of energy. That kind of child who is not quiet, who makes 1,000 questions per minute, who turns anything into a joke. His eyes were large, brown, bright. His smile illuminated anywhere. He loved dinosaurs. It had an entire collection of dolls scattered around the room. I knew everyone's name. Tyrannosaurus, Velociraptor, Triceratops. Every night he made my mother staging battles between them before bed. My mother was his world, and he was her world. I remember waking up at dawn and hearing her voice from his room. Sometimes Gabriel had nightmares, and she went there, lay beside him, sang softly until he went back to sleep. She never complained. I never said it was tired. Never. My father was different. He worked all day. I came back late. He had dinner in silence. He went straight to the couch, watched TV. When Gabriel asked to play, my father said, "Not now, son. Dad is tired." And Gabriel would return to the room, holding the dinosaurs, looking for his mother. She was always there. My paternal grandmother, my father's mother, never hid that she didn't like my mother. From the beginning, even before I was born. My mother came from a simple family, poor, without an important surname, no money. My grandmother thought my father deserved someone better. I heard the comments as a child, at family parties, on Sunday's visits. "You could have done this better rice, right? Your cousin's wife makes a loose rice, a delight. This outfit you put on Gabriel, poor. It looks like it came from the fair. You work too much. Who takes care of the house? Who takes care of the children?" My mother endured everything silent. He lowered his head, smile forced. He said, "Yes, Donna Celia," and she kept doing everything she had to do. I asked once, when I was about 10 years old, "Mother, why does the grandma talk to you like that?" She looked at me. He ran a hand over my hair and said, "Because she thinks I'm not good enough. But one day she will see that I am." But that day never arrived. At least, not the way my mother expected. That February Saturday when it all happened, my mother didn't want to go to her grandmother's house. I heard the conversation in the kitchen on Friday night. "I'm tired," my mother said to my father. "I worked the whole week. Tomorrow I just want to rest." "It's my father's birthday," my father answered, without looking at her. "You have to go." But no discussion. And that was it. On Saturday morning, she got Gabriel. He put the blue outfit he liked best, combed his hair, prepared a fruit salad to take. I stayed at home with my father, who said he was going to enjoy rest. He spent the day on the couch. My mother called in the middle of the afternoon. I answered. "Hi, daughter. Is everything okay there?" "Okay, mother. I'll take a little longer. Grandma asked me to help tidy up the kitchen after lunch." I heard my grandmother's voice in the background, shouting something. My mother sighed. "Kiss, okay? Take care of your father," and hung up. 2 hours later, the phone rang again, but it was not my mother. It was the hospital. I remember my father's face, white, completely white. He raised from the couch as if he had taken a shock, took the car key and ran out. I ran after. I shouted, "Father, father," what it was, what happened. He stopped at the door. It turned to me, and he said, in a cold, distant voice that I will never forget, "Your brother drowned," and left. I stood there in the middle of the room, not understanding. Drowned? As where? When we arrived at the hospital, my mother was alone in the hallway, sitting on the floor, the back against the wall, the face hidden between the knees. Her clothes were wet, stained, the wretched hair. She was shaking, sobbing, repeating something I couldn't understand. My father passed straight through her. "You didn't even look. It was straightforward to talk to the doctors. I knelt next to my mother. "Mother," I whispered. "What happened?" She lifted her face. Her eyes were destroyed, red, swollen, lost. I just went to help your grandmother in the kitchen," she said, her voice broken. Just 5 minutes. Gabriel was playing in the backyard with his father and uncle. I thought they were eyeing him." She couldn't continue. I held her hand. I felt she shaking. "Gabriel will be fine, Mother," I said, trying to believe. "He will be fine," but she just shook her head. And I knew. Gabriel had entered the pool, alone, without anyone seeing, without anyone noticing. My father and uncle were sitting on the porch, talking, drinking beer. They didn't see, or they didn't want to see. And when my mother came back from the kitchen, when she saw him floating, when she screamed and jumped in the water, it was too late. And they managed to revive him in the hospital. For a few hours, he stayed in the ICU. I saw him through the glass, so small, so fragile, surrounded by pipes and machines. My mother didn't leave the door. He stood there, looking at him, praying in a low voice. My father was on the other side of the hall, with my grandmother, with my uncle. No one spoke to my mother. No one came close. It was as if it were invisible, or worse, as if it was guilty. Gabriel died that night, at 11:47 p.m. I remember my mother's scream, a cry that came out of a place so deep that it seemed to tear the world. And the first thing my grandmother said, still in the hospital, was, "Where were you?" The accusation came even before the funeral. My grandmother, standing in the hall of the hospital, pointed her finger at my mother and shouted in front of everyone. Nurses, doctors, family members, "You killed my grandson." My mother retreated, as if he had taken a slap. I was helping you. I didn't know that. "You are his mother," my grandmother shouted, her red face distorted with anger. "It was your obligation to be eyeing, always keeping an eye, always." "Mom, please," my father murmured, but without conviction. "No, it doesn't come with please," my grandmother shouted. She left my grandson alone. She was distracted, and now he's dead. My mother collapsed on the floor. I ran to her. I hugged her. I tried to protect her, but my grandmother didn't stop. "You were never a good mother," I always knew. At the wake, no one looked at my mother. The people whispers. I listened to the pieces of conversations. She was distracted. I wasn't looking. How does a mother let this happen? They say she was helping in the kitchen. But what about her son? Child cannot be alone near the pool. My mother sat next to the coffin all the time, holding Gabriel's hand, caressing his hair, crying in silence. And no one came close to her to comfort. Nobody. Just me. I sat next to her and held her other hand, and we stayed there, both, alone in the middle of a crowd. In the following months, everything got worse. My grandmother spread the story throughout the family, through the neighborhood, for the church. It was negligent. She didn't take care of him. It was too busy. Always worked too far from home. My mother stopped leaving home, stopped answering the phone, stopped going to church, stopped going to the market. Because every time she went, people looked, whispered, judged. I saw the weight on her shoulders, the way she was curved, as if she carried the world, the way she cried in the bath, thinking I didn't hear. And my father? He walked away. He slept on the couch. I barely spoke to her. I barely looked at her. One night, I heard him speaking on the phone with my grandmother. I was in the hallway, going to the bathroom. "I know, Mom. I know," he said, his voice low, tired. She must have been eyeing. It shouldn't have left him. And my mother was in the kitchen, listening to everything. I saw her face. I saw her collapse inside. But she didn't cry. It didn't shouted. He only lowered his head and continued to dry the dishes. It was like this for a year of silence, of guilt, of pain. My mother became a ghost inside her own house. She woke up. I made coffee. He cleaned the house, cooked, washed clothes, all in the automatic, without smiling, without speaking. I tried to talk to her. I was trying to make her smile, but it was as if she was gone along with Gabriel. Until that day, the first birthday, when my mother said she wanted to go to the cemetery alone, just both of us. My father didn't even ask. I didn't even want to go. He said he couldn't take it, so it was just me and her. Early morning, before the sun warmed too much. We take white flowers, Gabriel's favorites. We cleaned the tombstone. We tidy up the flowers in the vase. We stayed there in silence, looking at that name that still hurts just reading. Gabriel Henrique Silva, 2018, 2023, Angel of Heaven. And then, that couple appeared. "It was not your fault," the woman repeated, her eyes full of tears. My mother couldn't speak. He just looked at her, lost, destroyed, confused. The man took a step ahead. "We live in the back of his mother-in-law's house," he said, his voice firm but kind. That day, we saw everything by the wall, from the backyard of our house. My mother began to tremble. What did you see?" she whispered. The woman took a deep breath. He cleaned the tears and said, "We saw your husband and his brother. They were sitting on the porch. drinking, laughing, talking loudly. While the boy played alone near the pool, the world stopped. No one was looking at him, the man added, his voice firm, straightforward. Nobody. Her husband was on her back, the other two. And when you ran out of the kitchen, shouting, they got up, but it was late. My mother fell to her knees. I held her. I felt her whole body shaking in my arms. And the woman knelt in front of her, held her hands tightly, and said in a voice full of remorse, of pain, we should have spoken before, but we were afraid. Fear of his family, fear of getting involved, fear of being processed, of causing problems. And I never forgive myself for that. She was crying too, but when we learned that today was the birthday, when we saw the news in the city newspaper, we could no longer be silent. You deserve to know the truth. You deserve justice. Ma porque l'amo. My mother couldn't stop crying, but now they were different tears. It was not just pain. They were of relief, of liberation, because finally, after a whole year carrying a guilt that was never hers, someone had told the truth. Someone had seen. Someone knew. She squeezed the woman's hands. He looked into her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for telling me that. The man put his hand on her shoulder. Are you going to need witnesses? He asked. If you are facing your family, we're here. We will tell the truth, where it takes. My mother nodded, still crying, and for the first time in a year, I saw something in her eyes that I thought I had died along with Gabriel. Strength. But the truth was just the beginning, because now, my mother was going to have to make everyone hear. And she would find that my father and grandmother had a lot more to hide. When we returned home that morning, my mother was different, uncharted, not happy, but alive. For the first time in a year, she looked alive. She held the paper with the couple's phone. He squeezed him in his hand like the most precious thing in the world. They saw, daughter, she repeated in the car, the voice still shaking. They saw everything. It was not my fault. It wasn't. I held her hand. I always knew, Mother. She looked at me, the eyes still red, but with a new glow. Thank you for never doubting me. When we got home, my father was in the room, lying on the couch, watching television. He didn't even look when we entered. They arrived, he said, without taking his eyes off the screen. My mother stopped at the living room door. It took a deep breath. I need to talk to you, he sighed. He took the control and paused the program. What it was. 2 people appeared in the cemetery today, she said, her voice firm. Your mother's neighbors. They saw what happened on the day of the accident. My father frowned. What did you see? They saw you and your brother, sitting on the porch, drinking, while Gabriel played alone near the pool. His face was pale. He raised from the couch slowly. Who are these people? They live on the back street of their M's house. They saw everything, and they offered to witness. My father took a step forward. Witness what? His voice was taller now. What are you going to do? Process my family? I just want the truth to be told, my mother answered, without retreating. For a whole year, everyone blamed me. Your mother blamed me. You blamed me. You never defended me. The silence was heavy. My father looked away. It was an accident, he said lower. Everyone knows it was an accident. But everyone thinks it was my fault, my mother answered, her voice breaking. And you let them think that. He didn't answer. He just turned his back and left the room. That night I heard my parents fighting in my room. I was lying on my bed, trying to sleep, but the voices crossed the wall. You won't talk to these people, my father shouted. Why? My mother shouted back. Fretly, they will say? It's not that. So what is it? You'll turn it all together. It will make everyone talk again. Wasn't it enough to lose my son? Now do you want to destroy what's left of the family? I didn't destroy anything. I didn't kill our son. The silence that came later was worse than the screams. I hugged the pillow and closed my eyes tightly, but I couldn't sleep. In the following days, my mother began to act. She called the couple, marked a meeting. He talked to them for hours. They repeated everything they had seen. They gave details, described the scene. My father and uncle, sitting on the porch, beer cans scattered, high laughs, neither looking at Gabriel. And then, my mother's scream, her race, the jump in the pool, the despair, while my father and uncle got up, confused, drunk, trying to understand what was going on. They weren't taking care of him, the woman said, her voice firm. We saw, and we are ready to say that where it takes. My mother wrote down everything. He asked them to sign a written testimonial. They signed. But while my mother added the pieces of truth, I started to realize other things, strange things, things that made no sense. First, it was the calls. My father began to receive strange calls, always at night, always in the room with the door closed. I passed the hall and heard his voice, low, tense. No, Mother, she won't do that. I know. He was talking to my grandmother, always, every night, and whenever I entered the room, he turned off fast. Who was it? I asked. No one, he answered without looking at me. Then it was the papers. One day I was looking for a pen in the drawer, and I found an envelope, brown, big, closed. It was hidden under old magazines and old accounts. I looked around. No one was seeing. I opened the envelope. Inside, there were documents, official papers, with stamps, signatures. They were documents about the house, our home, scripture, certificates, and a power of attorney, signed by my mother, giving my father to manage all the couple's assets, including the house. I frowned. Why had my father kept it there? Hidden? I didn't know what that meant, but something in my chest squeezed. I closed the quick envelope and put it back. And then, I started to remember things I had forgotten, or that I had ignored. I remembered a conversation, months before the accident. My grandmother was at home, having coffee with my father in the kitchen. I was in the hallway, going to the bedroom, and I heard her voice, low, but clear. You need to think about the future, son. This house is in her name too. If one day you separate, you lose half of everything. I know, Mom. Then she makes a power of attorney. He says it is to make things easier, in case something happens. She won't sign that. Of course it will. You are her husband. She trusts you. I had not understood anything at the time, but now I understood. I remembered something else too. A couple of months before the accident, my mother had been sick. Strong flu, high fever. She spent a week of bed. My father took care of everything that week. He took Gabriel to school, made food, gave her medicine. He was attentive, and one night I heard him talking to her in the room. Love, I need you to sign some papers here. Papers? Her voice was weak, tired. It's about the house. You need to update some documents in the notary's office. Nothing else. Just sign here. It's okay. And he left the room with the papers in his hand, smiling. I never had thought about it before. But now, had he taken advantage of she was sick to make her sign something? Does that power of attorney? I felt a cold in my pimple. I decided to investigate. I was 13 years old. I didn't know much about laws, documents, these things, but I knew something was wrong. So at school I asked the Portuguese teacher, the only one I trusted. Teacher, I said after class, if anyone signs a power of attorney, that means what? She looked at me curiously. It depends on the type of power of attorney, but in general it means that you give power to someone else to act on your behalf. Sign documents, sell things, move money. My heart fired. What if you didn't know what you were signing? The teacher frowned. Are you okay? Did something happen? No, it's just a question. She didn't seem convinced, but answered. If the person was deceived, manipulated, or signed without understanding, it can be considered fraud, and it's a crime. I came home with my head exploding. Had my father deceived my mother? Had he made her sign that power of attorney to have control over everything? And why? What was he planning? I decided to look more. Whenever my parents came out, I searched the house, looking for papers, documents, anything. And one afternoon, I found it, in my parents' room cabinet, in a box of old shoes, in the background, under blankets, more documents. And this time, they were selling proposals of our house, real estate proposals, evaluations, all dated 3 weeks before the accident. My father was trying to sell the house, without my mother know. I sat on the floor, shaking, holding those papers. Why? Why did he want to sell the house? And then I saw another roll, a letter, handwritten, of my grandmother, addressed to my father. Son, you know this house should be yours. It was bought with the money I gave you when you married. She never deserved any of this. If you sell now, while it is distracted, you get everything. I already talked to the lawyer. He said that with the power of attorney, you can make the sale alone. She doesn't even have to know. Then you make any excuse. Says it was necessary. And that's it. Don't let this woman take what is yours. Mother, I couldn't breathe. My father was planning to sell our house, hidden, deceiving my mother, with the help of my grandmother. And he had made my mother sign that power of attorney, without her knowing what it was. I kept the letter. I hid in my room, under the mattress. And that night, during dinner, I looked at my father. He was eating in silence, like always. My mother was across the table, stirring the food without eating, and I thought, he is not just an absent father. He is a liar, a traitor. I decided to wait for the right moment. I couldn't tell my mother yet. She was already destroyed. It was already struggling to prove the truth about Gabriel. If I told that now, she would collapse for good. So I waited. I observed. I wrote down everything. Dates, conversations, papers, all. And then a week later, my grandmother appeared at home. Without warning, she entered the front door as if she owned the place. My father was at work. My mother was in the kitchen. Where is he? My grandmother asked, ignoring my mother. At work, my mother answered, without looking at her. My grandmother snorted. So I hope. She sat in the room, of arms crossed. I was in the hall, listening to everything. And then my grandmother said, loudly, just for my mother to hear, you haven't given up yet, right? It's still trying to blame my son. My mother didn't answer. You killed my grandson. Everyone knows. And looking guilty now won't bring him back. My mother dropped the dish towel. It turned to my grandmother. I didn't kill my son. Of course it killed! You were not looking. You never took care of him. And your son, where was he? My grandmother got up, red of anger. My son is not to blame for anything. He was drunk. He and his brother, both. While Gabriel— Shut up! The scream echoed around the house. I left the corridor. I went to the room. Stop screaming at my mother, I said, the voice shaking. My grandmother looked at me with contempt. You don't get into, girl. She is my mother, and you have no right to talk to her. I have all the right. This house here, everything here. It was with my money, and she is just one. He arrives, my mother shouted. Get out of my house. My grandmother gave a cold smile. Your home? She laughed. It's not yours anymore, dear, and left, batting the piorta. My mother stood in the middle of the room, white, tremendous. What did she mean by that? She whispered. I felt my heart shoot, and it was at that moment that I knew that I had to tell. Mom, I said, the low voice, I need to show you something. The daughter will reveal the hidden documents and the betrayal planned by the father and grandmother. The truth is about to explode. I brought the documents from my room, the hands shaking, the heart beating so hard that I felt in the ears. My mother was sitting on the couch, the pale face, still processing what my grandmother had said. It's no longer yours, dear. Mom, I said, sitting next to her. I found some things the father hid. She looked at me confused. What? I put the papers on the coffee table, one by one. The power of attorney, the sale proposals, my grandmother's letter. My mother took the power of attorney first. Read. He frowned. Did I sign it? Do you remember? She was silent, the eyes traveling the paper. And then something clicked. I was sick, she whispered, with high fever. Your father asked me to sign some papers. He said it was just document update. She lifted her face, the wide eyes. He deceived me. I handed my grandmother's letter. She read, and with each line her face was getting redder, tense, more furious. When she ended, she kneaded the paper in her hand. He was going to sell the house, she said, the voice low but loaded with anger. Without me, no, hidden, deceiving me. I nodded. And Grandma knew. She helped him. My mother raised. He walked around the room. He ran his hands on his hair. A year, she murmured. A whole year blaming me, humiliating me, destroying me. And all this was because they wanted to get me out of here. She stopped. He looked at me. They wanted me to go crazy, that I gave up, that I came out. I felt a knot in my throat. What are you going to do? My mother took a deep breath. I'll confront your father. Now. My father arrived from work 2 hours later, tired, in a bad mood, like always. He dropped his backpack on the floor and went straight to the couch. Do you have food? He asked, without looking at anyone. My mother was in the kitchen. Stop. Waiting. Yes, she replied. But before, we need to talk. He sighed. Not now. I'm tired. Now. Her tone was different, firm, sharp. My father raised his face. He looked at her. What it was. My mother entered the room. He threw the papers on the coffee table. Explains that. My father looked, and his face lost all the color. Where did you think this? Explains. He got up. Nervous. This is nothing. They are just old documents. Old? My mother stepped ahead. These papers are 3 weeks before Gabriel died. Silence. You were planning to sell the house, without me knowing. I was wrong to sign a power of attorney. And your mother helped you. My father swallowed dry. I wasn't going to do anything without warning you. Lie, my mother shouted. Your mother's letter is here, saying exactly what you were going to do. He tried to take the papers. My mother was faster. No leaning. Give me that. No. I was in the corner of the room, frozen, watching everything. My father took a step back. He ran his hand on his face. Okay, he said, the lowest voice now. I admit, I thought about selling. But it was because we needed money. Needing? My mother laughed, but it was a bitter, bland laugh. Or because your mother said I didn't deserve anything. He didn't answer. Answer. My mother just wanted to help me. To help? My mother was shaking now. She wanted to get me out of here. Take me out of my house. And you agreed. It's not like that. So how is it? My father was silent, looking at the floor. And then my mother said, in a low, dangerous voice, You blamed me for a whole year. Let me carry the guilt of our son's death. Let me be humiliated, destroyed. And you knew it wasn't my fault. He raised his face. I didn't know anything. Lie. I didn't know. You were there, my mother shouted. You and your brother. You were drinking. And Gabriel was alone. My father was pale. Who told you that? There are witnesses, your mother's neighbors. They saw everything. He stepped back, as if he had punched. This is a lie. They are willing to witness. Anywhere. Court, if necessary. My father sat on the couch. He put his head between his hands. And then he said, the muffled voice, It was an accident. I know it was an accident, my mother answered. But you let me get the blame. He didn't answer. Why? She asked, the voice breaking now. Why did you do this to me? He raised his face. and for the first time in a year, I saw tears in his eyes because I couldn't accept it. He whispered, I couldn't accept that I failed, that I should be taking care of him, that I was drinking, distracted, laughing, while my son. He stopped. It took a deep breath. It was easier to blame you. The silence that came later was too heavy. My mother stood, looking at him, and then she said, in a firm, cold voice, get out of my house. Durhi. My father raised his head confused. What? Get out. Home. You can't expel me. I live here. My mother took the power of attorney, tore her in front of him. This power of attorney is worth nothing. I was fooled, manipulated. Any lawyer will overthrow this. And this house is mine too. My father raised, took a step ahead. Are you crazy? No, I'm lucid for the first time in a year. You won't get anything. My mother has lawyers. She will. Let her try. My mother cut off. I have witnesses. I have evidence. And I have the truth. My father was silent. And then he did something that I will never forget. He smiled, a cold smile, cruel. Do you think anyone will believe you? He said slowly. You, the mother who killed her own son? My mother took a step back, as if it had been hit. Everyone already knows the story, he continued. You became a joke in the neighborhood, in the church, in the family. No one will hear you. I'll make them hear. How? He laughed. You are weak, always has been. You don't have the courage to do anything. And it was right now that something inside my mother has changed. I saw it in her eyes. She did not retreat. It didn't lower your head. It didn't cry. She looked straight at him and said, you will see what I am able to. My father slept on the couch that night. My mother locked the bedroom door. I stayed with her, lying in the same bed, in silence. Mom, I whispered, I'm afraid. She hugged me. Me too, she admitted. But we can't be afraid anymore. Not now. What are you going to do? She was silent for a moment. I'm going to look for a lawyer. I will gather all the tests. And I will sue your father, your grandmother, all of them. I squeezed her harder. I'm with you, Mom. She kissed my forehead. I know, my love. I know. The next morning, my father was gone. He took some clothes and left, not saying anything. My mother didn't ask. It didn't run after. It just took a deep breath and moved on. She called the couple of neighbors, marked a meeting. He called a lawyer that someone from the church had nominated, marked consultation, gathered all the documents, all evidence, and I helped. We organized everything in a folder. We write down dates, names, all. Tataya, but as we prepare, my grandmother was preparing too. Then 2 days later, I was coming back from school, and I saw a car standing in front of the house, a car I didn't know. I entered, and I found my mother in the room, with 2 men in suit. What's going on? I asked. One of the men turned. Are you the daughter? I nodded. He showed a badge, social assistance. My heart stopped. We received an anonymous complaint, he said, his voice seriously, that there is negligence in this house. We are here to evaluate the conditions of permanence of the minor. I looked at my mother. Her face was pale, but the eyes were on fire, because we knew my grandmother had denounced her. And the man looked around. He scored things on a clipboard. The house looks in order, he said, but we will still need more information. Let's schedule a complete home visit and an interview with the smallest, alone. My mother squeezed my fists. My daughter is well cared for. Let's evaluate that, he replied, cold. They left, and when the door closed, my mother collapsed. Not in tears, but in pure anger. She won't take you from me, she said, holding my face. I won't leave it. And I knew that the war had started. The grandmother triggered social assistance to take her mother's daughter. The threat now is real. Losing the house and losing the daughter. The mother needs to fight on 2 fronts. In the following days, my mother became someone else. It was no longer that curved, broken woman who carried guilt like a weight on her back. She was furious. And fury, I found out, it can be a powerful force. She made an appointment with the lawyer that someone in the church had nominated. Dr. Mariana, a woman of about 40, short hair, firm posture. I went together. I sat next to my mother as she told everything. The accident, the guilt, the accusations, the witnesses, the fake power of attorney, the attempt to sell the house, and the Gora, the complaint for social assistance. Dr. Mariana noted everything, without interrupting, without judging. When my mother finished, she took a deep breath and said, You have a strong case, very strong. My mother sat more upright. Same? Yes. You have eyewitnesses from the accident. It has documentary proof of fraud. And this denunciation for social assistance? It is clearly bad faith, an attempt to intimidate. She leaned forward. But I need you to understand one thing. This will be a war. Your mother, in law, has money. She will hire expensive lawyers. You will try to get your name dirty even more. You need to be prepared. My mother looked at me, held my hand. I'm prepared. And the first thing we did was prepare for the social assistance visit. Dr. Mariana guided us. They will look for anything to use against you. Messed house, missing food, signs of negligence. Don't give them ammunition. My mother cleaned the whole house, organized everything, filled the refrigerator, arranged my room. I helped. I washed clothes. I folded. I kept. And the night before the visit, my mother sat with me. Daughter, tomorrow they will want to talk to you. Alone. I felt a cold in my belly. What should I say? The truth, she said, holding my face. Always the truth. Are you happy here? Do you have food? Are you going to school? I take good care of you? Yes, I said without hesitation. Yes, 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 and yes. She smiled, but the eyes were full of tears. So that's what you say. And don't let anyone put words in your mouth. And the next day, the social worker returned. She was a woman, older, of glasses, serious face. She entered. He looked at the house. He wrote things down. Then he asked to talk to me, alone. My mother hesitated, but nodded. You can use her room, she said. The woman and I entered my room. She closed the door, sat on my bed, opened a little pastent. You can sit, honey, she said. I sat in the desk chair. My heart was fired. I'm just going some questions, okay? No need to be afraid. I just want to know how you are. I nodded. Do you like to live here? I like. Does your mother take good care of you? Take care. Do you have food every day? I have. Are you going to school? I go. Does your mother hit you? No. Scream with you? No, she wrote down. And your father? Where is he? I took a deep breath. He left. There was a fight. With my mother. What? About lies. About things he hid. She looked at me over her glasses. What kind of lies? I looked at the door. I thought of my mother. I thought of the words of Dr. Mariana. The truth. He tried to sell our house without my mother to know. He lied to her. And he was there the day my brother died. But let everyone blame my mother. The woman stopped writing. He looked at me seriously. Are you sure of that? I have. It has witnesses. It has evidence. She was silent. He wrote down more. It's okay. Thank you for your sincerity. When she left the room, she talked a little more with my mother. And then, before leaving, she said, I see no sign of negligence here. I will put this in my report. My mother almost collapsed with relief, but the woman raised her hand. But I want to warn you, who made the complaint can appeal. This is not over. And left. But my mother didn't wait. She called Dr. Mariana, told everything. And then, she made the decision. I'll sue. Now. Dr. Mariana prepared everything. In 2 days the documents were ready. Case against my father, for fraud, attempted misappropriation and abandonment of the home. Case against my grandmother, for defamation, slander, and conspiracy for fraud. And a narrative rectification action on Gabriel's death, with the neighbors as witnesses. When the processes were filed, my grandmother knew the same day. She called my mother. I heard everything on the lively. Are you crazy? She shouted. Are you going to sue me? Case my son? I'm going. My mother answered, her voice firm. And I will win. You have no money for that. You have nothing. I have the truth. My grandmother laughed. A cruel laugh. True? No one calls for truth. I will end you. I'll get your daughter. I'm going to take this house. I will make you regret. My mother did not tremble, try, and hung up. In the following days, my grandmother started her campaign. She spread lies through the whole family. He called everyone. He said my mother was mad, who was inventing things, who was using Gabriel's death to extort money. The whole family turned his back on my mother. Uncles, cousins, everyone. No one called, no one visited, only judged. But my mother did not retreat. And then, the hearing came, and it was scheduled for a Tuesday, at the city forum. I missed school. My mother took me along. Dr. Mariana was there. He would be, prepared. On the other side, my father, my grandmother, and their lawyer. A man in an expensive suit, gray hair, and an air of superiority. My father didn't look at me. My grandmother stared at me with pure hatred. And the hearing began. The judge heard both sides. First, my grandmother's lawyer. He said it beautifully. He said my mother was distraught with grief, that it was creating false narratives, that he was trying to blame others for his own negligence. I felt the anger rise, but Dr. Mariana held my mother's arm. Calm down. Let him talk. Then it's our turn. Then it was her turn. Dr. Mariana stood up, presented the documents, the power of attorney, sales proposals, my grandmother's letter. She read the letter aloud, in front of everyone. The judge frowned. Then she called the witnesses, the neighbor couple. They went up. They swore to tell the truth, and they told everything. How they saw my father and uncle drinking on the porch. How they saw Gabriel playing alone near the pool, like no one was looking. How my mother ran out of the kitchen. How she jumped into the water. How she screamed. And how my father and uncle got up, too late. The silence in the courtroom was deafening. My grandmother's lawyer tried to discredit them. Are you sure about what you saw? Couldn't they be confusing? The woman looked straight at him. I'm sure. I saw. And I will never forget. And the judge called for a break. My mother left the courtroom shaking. I held her hand. You were incredible, I said. She didn't respond. He just hugged me. When we returned, The judge gave the preliminary decision. There is sufficient evidence of fraud in the power of attorney. I order the immediate suspension of any attempt to sell or transfer assets until the final judgment. My mother took a deep breath. Regarding the issue of responsibility for the accident, there are credible witnesses who contradict the narrative that has been accepted so far. I order the opening of a full investigation. My father turned white. And as for the complaint to social assistance, it is clear that it was made in bad faith. Archived. My grandmother got up. This is absurd. Silence. The judge banged the gavel. Or you will be removed. She sat down, but the hate in her eyes was real. Awani insats. When we left the forum, there were people waiting. Neighbors, church people, people who had heard about it. And many looked at my mother differently now. Not with pity, not with judgment, but with respect. And that night at home, my mother finally cried, but not out of sadness, of relief, of victory. I sat next to her. I hugged her. You did it, Mom. She smiled, a tired but true smile. We did it, daughter. Us. But the peace was short-lived. And 2 days later, my mother received a call. It was from the hospital. My father had been admitted to the emergency room. Heart attack. My mother stood still, holding the phone. Is he alive? She asked. Yes, but it's serious. She hung up. She stood there, standing still, looking into space. Mom, I said softly. Are you going there? She looked at me. And then he said, in a voice I had never heard, no, but my grandmother went. And the next day, she showed up at our door with an expression I will never forget. Not out of anger, of despair. Please, she said, her voice breaking. My son is dying. He wants to talk to you. My mother looked at her, expressionless. And why should I go? My grandmother swallowed hard. Because he has something to tell you, something important. My mother crossed her arms. Say it here. He wants to confess. And it was like that the full truth has finally come to light. The father is in the hospital, on the verge of death, and wants to confess something. The grandmother begged the mother to go. What truth will he reveal? What else did they hide? My mother stood at the door for a long time, looking at my grandmother, that woman who had destroyed her, who had spread lies, that he had tried to take everything away. And now it was there, begging. Please, my grandmother repeated, her voice shaking. Just come and listen to what he has to say. My mother took a deep breath. I will, she said. But not for him, not for you. She looked at me. I'm going because I need to hear the truth, the whole truth. We arrived at the hospital half an hour later. The smell of disinfectant, the heavy silence of the corridors. My father was in the ICU, surrounded by machines, tubes, wires. His face was pale, aged, fragile. When he saw my mother come in, his eyes filled with tears. You came, he whispered, the weak voice. My mother stopped at the foot of the bed, of arms crossed. You said you had something to confess. He closed his eyes. It breathed with difficulty. I need to tell you, before it's too late. Then count. My father opened his eyes. He looked at her. And then, for me, daughter, maybe you better leave. No, my mother cut. She stays. She has the right to hear. He hesitated, but nodded. And then, he started. On the day of the accident, he said, his voice. It wasn't just negligence. My mother frowned. Like this? The pool. She had a protective screen. A network. Do you remember? My mother nodded, confused. I remember. You installed when Gabriel was 3 years old. So it is. But she wasn't there that day. My mother's heart stopped. I felt, what? My mother. He took a deep breath, as if every word hurt. My mother told him, a few days before. The silence was so heavy that I could barely breathe. She said she was going to change for a new one. That was old, but she never put another one. My mother stepped forward, tremula. And you, did you know? He closed his eyes, and a tear flowed. I knew. His voice broke. I knew, and I did nothing. I thought nothing would happen, that we were going to keep an eye out. But that day, my brother and I started drinking, and he stopped, sobbing. And when you shouted, when I saw Gabriel in the water, I knew it was ours. My mother covered her mouth with her hands. But I let everyone blame you, he continued, his voice torn. Because my mother, she said that if the truth came out, we were going to lose everything. She was going to be processed. I was going to be sued. The whole family was going to destroy itself. He opened his eyes. He looked at my mother. So I accepted. I accepted that you carry the blame, because I'm a coward. My mother stood, tremendous, processing. And then she said in a low, dangerous voice, Did your mother get the protection on purpose? My father did not answer, but the silence was enough response. Answer! My mother shouted. I don't know, he whispered. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but she never put another one. And she knew the pool was unprotected. My mother took a step back, as if it had been hit by lightning. She facilitated the accident, my mother whispered, and then blamed me. She turned to the door. Where is she? Love, wait. Where is she? Nah, in the waiting room. My mother left, and I ran after. My grandmother was sitting in the waiting room, alone, with his face in his hands. When she saw my mother arrive, she got up. "How is he?" My mother walked straight to her and slapped. The noise echoed through the room. People looked, but no one interfered. My grandmother took her hand to her face, shocked. Did you hit me? You took the pool protection," my mother said, her voice shaking with anger. "You knew and did nothing." My grandmother was pale. I was going to put another lie," my mother shouted. "You wanted something to happen. You wanted an excuse to get me out of that house. And when it happened, you blamed me." My grandmother tried to speak, but the words did not come out. "You killed my son," my mother said, the voice breaking now. "You, not me, you," and collapsed. I ran to her. I held her. As she cried, she shouted, shattered, and my grandmother was just there, standing, white, speechless. 2 security guards came. They asked us to calm down. My mother got up. He cleaned his face. "I'll sue you," she said to my grandmother firmly, "by guilty homicide, criminal neglect, all." My grandmother took a step back. "You have no evidence." "I have your son's confession," my mother cut. "Recorded." She showed the cell phone. I had recorded everything. My grandmother got white as a paper. "And I'll make everyone know," my mother continued. "The family, the church, the whole city. You will pay for what you did," and left. In the following weeks, everything collapsed. My father's confession leaked. I don't know how. Maybe my mother sent someone. Maybe Dr. Mariana. But the whole city knew. My grandmother was investigated, processed. Police confirmed that the protective screen had been removed days before the accident and has never been replaced. Criminal neglect. My grandmother was convicted, not prison because of age, but to alternative penalties, heavy fine, and loss of reputation. The whole family turned against her. Uncles, cousins, everyone who had previously supported her. Now they avoided her. She became the villain. And my mother became the victim who always was. My father survived the heart attack, but never returned home. My mother asked for divorce. It was granted, fast. She stayed with the house, with the full guard of me, with part of the goods. And my father? He went to live alone, in a small apartment. I visited him once. He was different, thinner, older, more broken. "I'm sorry," he said, "for everything." I didn't answer. I just looked at him, and I left. My mother took a long time to recover, but gradually, she was living again. He returned to work. He smiled again. He left home again without fear. The people in the neighborhood, of the church, began to treat it differently, with respect, with admiration, because now everyone knew the truth, and the truth had released her. A year later, on the 2nd anniversary of Gabriel's death, my mother woke me up early. "Come with me," she said. We went to the cemetery, just the 2 of us, like always. We carry white flowers. We cleaned the tombstone. We stayed there in silence, and then my mother said, "Not for me, for him." "Hi, my love," she whispered, her choked voice. "Mom is here again." She knelt, caressed the recorded name. "I wanted to tell you that I discovered the truth, that I fought, that I didn't let them destroy myself." Tears ran down her face. "And I know you're proud of me. I know." She kissed the tombstone and smiled. "I love you, forever." I knelt beside her. I held her hand, and we stayed there, together, mother and daughter, survivors, winners. Today, 8 years later, I'm 20, 1 years. My mother has a new life, a new job, new friends. She never married. He said he doesn't need anyone to be happy. And it's true. She is happy. I study, work, alive, and I will never forget what she's gone through, what she faced, and how she got up. And because my mother taught me something that I carry to this day, the truth may take time. It can hurt, but she always wins. And when the whole world blames you, humiliates you, destroys you, you get up, you fight, and you win, because you are stronger than you think. If you have a mother who fought for you, that faced the world for you, that never gave up, embrace her today. Thanks. And never let anyone decrease her, because warrior mothers deserve the world. And mine deserved much more than it had. But today, she has peace, and that is all.